Hi, and welcome along to a game of two halves here on DR Sports. I am joined this morning by Mark Goldbridge to take a look back at all of the weekend's games. And you can tell by the smile on my face, I'm very happy about this weekend. It's been a great weekend to be an Arsenal fan. Not so much if you're a Manchester United fan. We're going to get into it right now. Good morning, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm all right. It's standard, isn't it? You know, this is the way football is at the moment. I think with Arsenal, you can dare to dream about titles and Champions Leagues. And I think for Man United, I actually feel more sorry for the United fans who are like really getting stressed about it, because I actually think there's a reality about where we are. But we can get into that. Yeah, no, I'm not too bad this morning.
Okay, we'll get into it. But let's start off first of all with the last game of yesterday, which of course was Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 2. I was at the game. What a dramatic ending to the game. What an exciting game, because we have seen a few games this season that have been a bit, described as bore fests and things like that. This wasn't. This was a very good game. As a matter of fact, there were some very good games over the weekend as a whole, but this was a very, very good game. Arsenal coming out on top at the end. Lots of controversy in the game as well. Mark, let's unpack it. First of all, I just want to get your thoughts on the game as a whole.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, look, Newcastle tend to be very intense at their ground. It's a difficult place to go. I'm very surprised they've only got 6 points from 6 games because I've seen them a few times and they're always competitive. Probably, look, I think Arsenal deserve to be about 2-0 up at half time, but it's 1-0 to Newcastle. That's the beauty of football, I suppose. And then, in the grand scheme of the game, Arsenal deserved at least a point, and I think they got the result they deserved in a really exciting fashion. And I think nobody can really moan about Arsenal because their intent was there at the start. We were very critical last week about what they did against Man City with Moreno and Trossard. Starts as goes more on the front foot, and I think if you're an Arsenal fan, I predicted Arsenal are going to win the league a week ago. That looked like people were taking the piss. Now people are going, that might be a good take. So long way to go. Lots of hard games already for Arsenal. They're in a really good position and they played really well.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a very good performance by Arsenal right from the start of the game, right on the front foot, taking it to Newcastle, which is not an easy thing to do. If you go to that ground, it is one of the most atmospheric grounds in the Premier League, and they really are physical, really aggressive. But Arsenal, I thought, were a team that really were on the front foot right from the beginning. And like you said, Mark, I think overall deserved the win in the end. There were a couple of controversial incidents within the game. I want to get your thoughts on the penalty before I give you my thoughts. I don't know if you agree with me, but what were your thoughts on the penalty? We don't often see, actually, the referee did give the decision, but then it's overturned by the VAR. Clear and obvious mistake, according to them. What did you make of it?
I think it's been a really bad weekend for VAR, and they probably got away with it because none of the results were sort of, tainted by it. I mean, they're basically rewriting the rules, Robbie. I mean, the Man United game, Collins is a red card every single day of the week, and they make something up there. I think Brighton should have had a penalty as well. I'm not convinced Salah didn't handball it. And then on the Arsenal game, all we were talking about on our watch along was, should it be a red or a yellow? And I was saying it's got to be a yellow. There is a genuine attempt to try and get there. And then they're re-reviewing it. And I'm like stunned. Now, the only thing I can think is that he is saying to VAR, I don't think Pope gets the ball. And then VAR says, well, he does get a touch on it. But it's completely irrelevant. Irrelevant. Saliba and Pedro, either last season or the year before, Howard Webb actually spoke about it and said, it's redundant whether the player gets the ball or not. It's whether there's a foul and everything like that. Nick Pope doesn't even contest it. That is a penalty every single day of the week. Gyökeres gets there first. It's not like Pope makes a tackle. Gyökeres kicks the ball onto Pope. Pope doesn't have a clue what he's doing, and he takes Gyökeres out, who would have got the ball. So I don't know what they're doing there, but as you said, VAR should be saying it's a penalty. Whether he touches the ball or not, it's a penalty. We're not here to re-referee it. It's a penalty. So it's a shocking decision. I'm just very grateful it didn't have a massive impact on the game, because it was a shocking call in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. Is what I was saying at the time. I was lucky enough, actually. I was actually in a box yesterday with Newcastle fans, right? And when the incident happened, right, they they got like a TV screen, so we'd be able to go in and look at it. And every one of the Newcastle fans said it's a penalty, right? They were trying at half time to try and change their minds, right? But they knew with a smile on their face, but they knew it was a penalty. Everything you just said is absolutely spot on. And I just cannot believe how VAR overturned that. It was absolutely ridiculous. There was also another incident. That was the Gabriel handball one.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think of that one?
I think if that's Arsenal Man United in the last minute, I'm screaming for a penalty, but that's because it's against Man United. I think if it's the other way around, I'm going to say he's gone in for a 50-50. He's actually hit the ball. It's gone up onto his arm.
Yeah.
It's harsh. What I will say is, and I have said this before, I don't really understand the handball rule. I don't think anybody does. I would actually vote to say, if it hits the hand, let's just give penalties. You'll get harsh ones, you'll get right ones. But I think in relation to the way the rule is interpreted for the last few years, that would be a really harsh penalty. But other people would say his hand's really high and it hits his hand. So I understand that. But by my limited understanding of how the PGMO run it, I never thought that was going to be a penalty. Yeah,
I actually looked at the rules, and that one's not a penalty either, because he's like you said, his main attempt to play the ball, his hand, it's not like he's put his hand there to stop it from going goalwards or to try and bat it away or anything. And under the current rules, that one wasn't a penalty, and they stopped.
I did think in the game, Robbie, they might give it though.
As a
fan, I was like,
especially sometimes in Europe, I think that one's given. That's the other thing; they seem to differ. But I think in the end, we got the right result. And it's a huge win for Arsenal. You know what I mean? With Liverpool slipping up the day before, like you said, a couple of weeks ago, there were some people I was talking to basically saying the league's over, right? And when I was saying things like, well, and I'm talking even about Arsenal fans as well, when I'm saying that it's early, it's still too early to say anything, they're saying, oh, no, it's not, it's done, all right? Arsenal are 2 points off Liverpool now, and they've had a really difficult start. They've had to go to Manchester United away on the first game. They've had to go to Liverpool away and now Newcastle away, as well as City at home. That's not an easy start. They've got more favourable games coming up now, right, after that really difficult start. I think Mikel Arteta will be very pleased with his start. It's still very early as well, but that was a massive win for the morale of Arsenal, especially it's a place where last 3 times they've been there, they've lost each of them. Let's move on to your game, because like you said, that was the game that kicked off the weekend. And, first of all, I'm going to address the controversial decision in that game, because before we get to what you made of the game overall. But we were driving up to Newcastle yesterday, and I remember Lee Judges said, listen, he goes, I'm not particularly a fan of Manchester United. But he goes, that decision yesterday in the Man United game was a disgrace, right? We remember, right? And he was reminding us, and we said, yes. I remember William Saliba getting sent off against Bournemouth.
On the halfway line.
Pulling guy on the halfway line. And they said that's a goal-scoring opportunity, right? All right, fair enough. He got sent off for it. And Buemo's through. He's about to just, line up and try and score a goal scoring opportunity. The only reason he doesn't get a shot off or anything is because he's pulled back, right? And for them to turn around and say that's not a goal scoring opportunity because he didn't have the ball under control, I thought that was scandalous. And it could have changed the game, because that would have been 10 men to Brentford. Bruno wouldn't have had to have waited like about half an hour to take the penalty, because even that, the amount of time they took to this, looking at it on VAR, he may have scored. Even if he didn't score, the advantage we know of having that extra man changes how a team approaches the game. I thought that was a really, really poor decision. So talk to me about that decision, but then also talk to me about Manchester United's performance overall, because there's no, like you said, there's no taking away from it. Brentford were brilliant. They deserved to win that game. And United, they just didn't seem to have any intensity. They didn't seem up for the game, which was surprising after how well they played against Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the decision, I'd take it more from the way you have, like as a stain against football, because I think that happens to Brentford next week, it's an injustice. If it happens to Arsenal, if it happens to Liverpool, it's a disgusting decision where they've gone against the rules of the game. For me, it's a little bit like the Liverpool offside a couple of years ago, because it's just totally and utterly wrong. And you can't justify it in any way, shape, or form. They're rewriting the rules of the game. It's like I was like, that is a red card, 100% a red card. There's no debate about it. Some people were talking about double jeopardy, and I was like, you don't understand the rules. That's a red card. For him to not get one was absolutely disgusting. And against 10 men with about 20 minutes left, we probably would have got a draw, even with Bruno's miss. So, but look at Chelsea. Chelsea have lost 2 games because they've had men sent off. I think they would have won both of them if they hadn't. So we know how impactful it can be, whether it's fair or not. In the context of the game, though, there's no United fan that really is talking about that decision massively, because it was so poor from United, and Brentford thoroughly deserved to win it. They could have won it 5-1. There's no two ways of looking about that. That apart from that decision, that was the only thing that would have helped Manchester United, because they were so bad. And you look at the players that we've got and the players that Brentford have got, and it's inexcusable. I said before the game, respect to Brentford, but we should be beating the teams like this. Yeah. When Brentford beat you, respect to Brentford, they deserve to win it. But what's going on at Manchester United? I'm just at the point now, Robbie, with, look, a lot of people are saying sack the manager. I've been here so many times over the last 10 years. Excuse me if I'm not excited about sacking a manager and changing him, because I actually don't think there's a manager that can come in. There will be a slight improvement. There definitely will. I mean, Amorim's making some shocking calls, and you can't be 15th in the league, and his win ratio is rubbish. But I don't see a manager taking Man United into the top 6 anymore. And that's where United should be. So I think, sack the manager, change the manager. We'll get a bit of an improvement. But the big problem at Manchester United has always been the Glazers. And I don't think any manager with that squad and that ownership is going to be successful. So I sort of feel a bit sad this morning. I'm sort of like, get Xavi, get Southgate, get Glasner, whatever. But we'll be back here in the next year or two, because they've never done what needed to be done at that football club. Arsenal have done it. Liverpool have done it. Man City definitely have done it. Newcastle are doing it. There's not an ownership that actually comes in and goes, this is an absolute mess. Let's hit the reset button and let's build something properly. It's a new rebuild. Well, I'm going to say it's a new rebuild every 3 years. It's now every 12 months. Amorim's not even been here 12 months. So.
Yeah, another tough one for Amorin. I note that the board said they are giving him his their backing. What was that record? No back-to-back wins since he's been there in the Premier League. I mean, that is incredible. He is very lucky to still be in a job this morning, especially when you think you're managing Manchester United. But maybe they're just acknowledging that it is so bad at the moment. That what's the point? Chelsea. Maresca, the manager there, under pressure as well, which that's quite a surprise after winning the Club World Cup. But again, down to 10 men in a game in which they were winning, looking good in, 1-0 up against Brighton. And then Danny Welbeck with a couple of goals, and Brighton, a massive win for them, and a really bad day for Chelsea. Beaten, that's 2 in a row now for Maresca, last week against United and Brighton, both games down to 10 men.
Yeah, and Liverpool next for them. So that's a great game for Arsenal, because I think you've got West Ham, haven't you, or something like that. So, but no, I think from Chelsea's point of view, it's a little bit like Arsenal, a little bit like Man United. You've got this section of fans in the club who don't like the manager. And I don't really get it with Maresca, because he's only been there a year. He won the Club World Cup. He's won the Conference League. He's got you in the Champions League. He's lost 2 games in a row. But I think it's very, very difficult to not lose those games in them circumstances, when Sanchez was sent off in the first 10 minutes, and then Brighton, you've got to play a whole half with 10 men when you're 1-0 up. I'm not surprised that they've lost both those games. So I think the pressure's on him, but I'm not massively sure why, because I think Chelsea probably win both those games if they don't get down to 10 men. You've got to look at the individual errors. The one thing I would say is that they should have brought a proper goalkeeper. I think that's always been a problem. Yeah. But other than that, it's the modern fan, isn't it? You're pissed off because you've lost 2 games in a row. But I do think there are mitigating circumstances there. And you know what I think of Brighton? I think they're just so unpredictable. So the fact that they went and won that,
both of us, did it? Yeah, they did both of us in our predictions. I'm sure of it. But a great win for them. Really is. The big game of the weekend, or the big shock of the weekend, and a great game again, was Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. Crystal Palace could have been 6-0 up at half-time. That's how good they were. They were absolutely tore Liverpool apart, right? They were 1-0 up through Ismail Sarr, Right, but I said they had chance after chance. The goalkeeper and the crossbar and post keeping them out. Then Liverpool nearly pulled one off right at the end. Now, another controversial incident. Mo Salah appears in my books, looks like that's a definite handball, right? But it's not given. Chiesa, but then right at the end, Eddie Nketiah with a massive goal. You're not going to score a bigger goal than that in the Premier League to beat Liverpool and Crystal Palace, unbeaten this season, by the way. 2-1 winners. First of all, what did you make of that penalty incident? Or sorry, that goal incident where they decided that it was a goal, but I don't know, man.
I mean, I watched it and I thought, it looks like it hits his hand. Now, the only reason I can think they've not given it is because they don't think it's clear and obvious to which contradicts what happened in the Liverpool and the Arsenal game. So, I mean, to me, it looks like it hits his hand. Now, if they're saying they can't be sure, then I suppose it's not clear and obvious. You've got to give it. Again, I'm just really pleased that we actually got the Palace winner just because the controversy gets cancelled out. It doesn't change the fact that it's bad officiating. But you're right. I mean, Palace, the Mateta shot would have been an absolute brilliant worldy goal if it had gone in, and they should have been at least 2-0 up. But it always gives, credit to Liverpool. They stay in the game. They get the goal I knew they were going to get. I actually thought they'll win this, and that would have been an absolute, social media would have been an absolute toxic fest if they had, because there's no way they deserved that. And I think listening to Arne Slot after the game, he was very, very complimentary of Palace, saying that, look, they were out of sight in the first half. We've stayed in the game. And then, they've done that enough this season already. So Liverpool are well overdue that. Like we've spoken about it. They're well overdue not winning a game. And it'll be very interesting to see what it does for them. But it's Palace. Like, Palace deserve all the plaudits. Unbeaten. Very, very good side. Obviously, they lost Eze and Elise over the last 2 years, and they're still doing really well. People were saying Glasner to Man United. I would just say, like, they do only have 30% possession and counter. I think it works brilliantly well for a team like Crystal Palace. I think Glasner would have to change if he was going to go to an Arsenal or a Chelsea or something like that. But deserved win.
Yeah, great win for Palace. Some other shocks. Tottenham just about scraping a last-minute draw against Wolves. That would have been another big shock, especially Tottenham. I don't know. They've been a bit funny as well recently. Everyone was thinking they cruise this game. They're very, very lucky to get away with a draw. I watched the game, especially Wolves were dominant throughout the game. But 1-1.
Typical Spurs, isn't it? That's what Thomas Frank needs to work on a little bit, really. I didn't see the game, but the fact that they needed a last-minute equaliser, and Wolves, looking at the stats, it was a very equal game. So, yeah, they're games that you need to win those if you're Spurs, and maybe a bit of a European hangover. But no, there was no Europe, was there? I don't know. Carabao Cup. I don't know. It was a weird game to not win, but good point for Wolves.
Yep. Granit Xhaka, great performance against for Sunderland. Another defeat for Big Ange, ex-Tottenham. He hasn't won a game yet since he's gone in at Forest. But Sunderland going great.
We've got them next.
Ooh.
They've got Sunderland.
Hey, look, I watched that game as well. They looked all right.
Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting. I've not watched Sunderland yet, so
no, they're all right, Mark. I'm telling you, they've got a few decent players there, right? And not only that, that you can see they're fighting for everything. That won't be an easy game for United.
Yeah, and with Forest, it's like we've all said, they shouldn't have sacked Nuno. Everybody knows it. I think the players probably know it, and they're struggling. Ange is very different to Nuno, and he's not even had a pre-season. So I think things need to change there very quickly, because they wouldn't expect to be getting beat at home to Sunderland, really.
Yeah. Another exciting game was Leeds 2, Bournemouth 2. Leeds throwing away a lead there, so they'll be a bit disappointed with that, but great equaliser by Bournemouth. And Manchester City winning by 5-1. That didn't tell the whole story, because, Burnley played really well up until the last part of the game, and then they just kind of fell apart. A couple of goals by Haaland really put a gloss on that performance. But Burnley, it was 1-1, and they were playing all right, but City powered them out of the way. And Haaland's on fire. Another 2 for him.
Yeah, he's looking very, very good. And yeah, it ended up being the result many of us predicted it to be. But like you say, it was a draw at half time. And look, the newly promoted clubs need to keep it going. I want to see at least one of them staying up. We've had 2 seasons of them going straight back down. They're very competitive. Sunderland are in the top 4 at the moment. So look, hopefully they can keep it going.
Yep, and big win for Aston Villa, their first win of the season. Massive win for Unai Emery, 3-1 against Fulham. Ollie Watkins on the score sheet looks a lot better today for Unai Emery and Aston Villa.
Yes, I was watching that before your game, and they just look like they're themselves, because Fulham are a good side. John McGinn was brilliant, scored a really good goal. I don't know what Villa did. It's almost like they stayed on the beach an extra month, but they definitely do look like they're back to what we expect from them. And let's see if they can kick on from that now.
Yeah, good win for them. Quick one, game tonight, Everton versus West Ham. West Ham, of course, who've appointed Nuno Espirito Santo. Really weird that they made Graham Potter do a press conference on Friday and then sacked him the next day. I mean, that was a bit crazy, but listen, West Ham fans won't mind the fact that he's gone. Give me your prediction, and also, will Nuno suit West Ham? Will West Ham fans be happy with that? Because isn't his style similar to David Moyes?
Well, yeah, I mean, David Moyes was doing a good job at West Ham, but they just didn't like his style of football. And that's their prerogative to say, yeah, we want to change. You change it, and then you're now back with it again. I wonder if those West Ham fans will just go, we'd rather be higher up the league with worse football. But he's a good fit. He'll keep him up. I think it's actually, a bit of a pain for Everton, isn't it? Because there might be that little new manager bounce now. But I would expect Everton to win it still. Yeah.
Yeah, I still expect Everton to win it. I'll go with the Everton winner. Of course, over on Mark's channel, That's Football, on Friday, right, we'll be able to find out how each of us got on with our predictions. Mark's got a little room to make up. We'll find out if he was able to catch me up on Friday, so make sure you check out his show. But let's get into our team of the week. I know we got a few differences on this one.
Yeah, we almost have 2 separate ones, I think, this week, because there's loads.
Right, so what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to do some little voting overall on them. Let's go goalkeeper.
Well, I've seen yours. I went, I think there was a few contenders, and I'm not against yours, but I just thought Nick Pope was brilliant. I know we had the controversy about the penalty, but that save in the first few minutes from Eze was brilliant, and he made about 4 or 5. So, yeah, I think Nick Pope for me. I know he's on the losing team, but I thought he was brilliant.
He was good, but I'm going to go for Kelleher. Now, he did make a mistake for your goal, in my opinion. Like, he should have done much better. But overall, he was excellent in the game. And basically, that save from Bruno, penalty save, which was a great save, I think that's what won them the game. I think if you guys score that, right, it's a different scoreline. Or, they wouldn't have won the game. But it was a huge save. So
the only thing I would say is that you were all over Newcastle and Pope made loads of good saves. That makes people who didn't watch that game think Man United were all over Brentford, and we really weren't. We really weren't. Well, he did make a couple of saves, but
I think that's a match-winning save. I think if they would have won the game, you could give it to Pope, but I have to give it to Kelleher. And I have to say to you, a lot of Newcastle fans were not happy with Pope at the end.
Yeah,
the way he just kicked the ball, his distribution. They were like, why did he just kick the ball down the centre of the pitch, handing us the ball back? So I think let's stick with Kelleher. Yeah.
Well, no. Well, let the chat decide. I think.
All right, let the chat decide.
It's your show, though. He's sticking with Kelleher. Yeah.
All right. No, we will. All right, we let the chat decide. All right. Back 4 from you.
I thought Timber was fantastic, so I've gone with Timber. Obviously, you got to put Gabriel in there. I thought the Bournemouth, the Wolves centre back played well apparently, but I didn't watch the game, so I went with Guehi. And then I've been wanting to put him in for a while, but so I'm going to put him in this week. Truffert, who's come in to replace Kirkez at Bournemouth. I've been very impressed with him, so I put him in left back.
Okay, I didn't really get a chance to see him. I've gone Coyote, the Brentford right back with the long throws. I mean, those are some serious weapons. But he also played really, really good as well in the game and solid against you guys. Hickey as well, who I thought on the other side was also very, very good. And I've also agreed with you on Guehi and Gabriel. So we have to get a decision on.
I think you're over. I like the fact that you're putting all these Brentford people in, but we were shit. So yeah, but I'm sort of like saying the Truffert and Timber and Gabriel. They all played against good opposition.
Timber was good. He was good, but I've got Brentford. That's a big win, Mark. Come on.
Oh, they did play well.
Made you said it earlier. You said it earlier how they made. You've got to give full credit to them. So I'm trying to give full credit to them by, even taking out one of my Arsenal players.
I think Swansea would have battered Man United at the weekend, to be honest.
Right, let's go midfield. I've gone McGinn,
Yeah.
Granit Xhaka, and Adam Wharton of Crystal Palace. So who have you gone for?
I did go Rice, but I think, to be fair, I put him in because I
good.
thought he did play well. But I think Wharton at Palace, I watched that game, was very good. So I'd happily leave Wharton in for Rice. Did agree with McGinn. And look, I don't know about this, but he got a goal and assist. And on Who Scored, he got 9.9. And his name's Longstaff. And I'm just like, I've got to bring it in because I didn't watch the game massively, but a 9.9 on Who Scored is, I mean, they don't always get it right, but I thought that's bloody big. And he got a goal and assist. So I thought I've got to throw it in there as a bit of a hipster Longstaff, but
I'm pretty
you can bury him with Xhaka, but
Xhaka also had an assist, was a real leader on the pitch. I watched him in the game. He was absolutely brilliant. And Longstaff, they didn't win the game, right? And they were at home. Xhaka, they've gone away, Sunderland, to Nottingham Forest, so not an easy place to go, and won 3 points. Man of the match for me. I thought Xhaka was brilliant.
You're harsh, Robbie. I've just realised that you have to win the game to get in Robbie's man.
You don't have to win. No, you don't.
I don't care. I'm like, if you have a good game, you have a good game. Sorry,
you don't have to win
Sean.
the game, but you've drawn at home, right? You may have had you've done well. You won your battles, but I'm just saying the significance of Xhaka's performance, which then they've won the game. He's got to be in there.
I've just never seen anyone get a 9.9 on Who Scored before. I don't know whether it was an actual glitch or something like that. I mean, I might have been scammed there, but I was just like, what? Yeah, go on then. Go, Xhaka.
Right. Front three.
Well, I've copied you here because you don't always go with a striker and a couple of wingers. So I've gone with 3 forwards. I've gone Welbeck, Thiago, and Haaland.
Haaland?
Yeah, he's got to score 2 goals.
He said 2 late goals against a team that, listen, he's the best striker in the league by far. But Eddie Nketiah has got to be in there for that. That is a huge, huge goal, right? The match-winning goal.
For Arsenal.
It's not because he played for Arsenal. It's
you'd have scored that. I can see you on that back post scoring that goal.
No, man, he took it well. He took his finish well, controlled it.
That Thiago finish, that opening goal against
that was a brilliant goal. That Thiago, he was a handful, that Igor Thiago, man.
I can't believe that finish, though. I mean,
yeah, I know. When he hit that,
we weren't so crap. I'd have said, how's he done that? That's an absolute worldie. It was brilliant.
When he hit that, I was expecting the ball to hit one of those people watching from their balcony behind the. When that just went into us, what a goal. Yeah. Welbeck's definitely in there, right? But Eddie Nketiah, for me, has to be in there. But you might agree with Mark and say Haaland. Let us know in the comments. We've reached the end of the show. As I said, don't forget, back on Mark's That's Football on Friday, so make sure you join us there. But Mark, yeah, listen, man, I don't know what to say. It's not. I
just focus on general football now. Yeah.
He's only doing That's Football now, right?
Yeah, just doing That's Football. United stands going into hibernation.
United stands we've packed up, you know what I mean, for the season. Yeah. Mark, thanks very much, mate. And we'll be back again on Friday, like you said, over on That's Football. So make sure you check us out there. And of course, back next week, Monday. Final Premier League game for another international break. Thank you very much.
I don't like this one. Cheers.